God died 12 years ago. The devil comes to the world. Human beings are possessed. Become rotten. Give birth to a demon. Rot spreads mental pollution, infecting everything around. Called evil spirit. Help the devil to be born smoothly. Evil resurgence. Cleaner appears. It turns out that humans have been fighting demons for thousands of years. In process, humankind summarizes 7 rules for facing evil. Do not use electric lighting. Don't get close to animals. 3. Don't take anything away from the evil object. Don't harm evil things. 5. Don't call evil things by their real names. 6. Do not use firearms to kill evil objects. 7. Don't be afraid of death. Wow, let's eat sabi. Remember these 7 rules. Let's get into today's movie. When Evil Lurks. Late at night, several gunshots in the forest broke the silence. Let the 2 brothers in a village be alert. At first, they thought it was just someone poaching. But his brother Pedro escaped from the gunfire. I smelled a strange smell. That's the sound of a revolver. No one would hunt with this thing. But the woods at night are full of dangers. The 2 of them waited until dawn to find out. After a sleepless night, they walked into the woods with their hounds. The morning light shines in the woods. Spots of light flicker between the gaps in the leaves. But the next second, all the beauty was destroyed by the sight before me. I saw half a human body lying on the road. Exposed organs emit a fishy stench. Brother Jimmy thinks this man may have been attacked by a lion. But he was quickly denied by Pedro. Because the incision on the body is too flat. Plus the gunshots last night. This is obviously a murder. Jimmy picked up the luggage scattered on the floor. It's full of broken utensils. Seems to be used in some kind of ceremony. Under the box, a government document reveals the man's whereabouts. Neighbor Maria's home. So the 2 followed the clues and went to inquire. Just arrived at the door. Apparently waiting for someone. Turned out to be Maria's eldest son is sick. She's waiting for a doctor here. But this doctor is not here to save people, but to eradicate the weeds. Maria reported the crime to the police a year ago. He claimed that his eldest son Uriel was possessed by an evil spirit. Professionals are urgently needed to break his curse. But how could the police care about such nonsense? Things keep getting delayed. No response until recently. The man who died in the forest. It's the exorcist appointed by the government. Listening to mysterious words. The 2 brothers walked into the house doubtfully. How can there be ghosts in the world? Just thinking about it. The next second I was shocked by the sight in front of me. Only in a narrow room. A swollen man lies in bed. Skin ulcers. Pus discharge from mouth. The whole room exudes a stench. See the situation. Pedro wanted to kill the monster in front of him immediately. But Maria stopped her sharply. Uriel has become corrupt. If you die other than during an exorcism ritual, disaster will spread like a plague. So Maria still takes care of Uriel to this day. Until the day the exorcist arrives. The strange thing is, the exorcist who had been waiting so hard died suddenly on the way. It seems that someone is secretly helping the devil to be born. The 2 brothers can't stand it. Come to the police station and report. Already believe in the existence of the devil. However, the police didn't take his word seriously. This is because of the absurdity of evil spirits. Also because Pedro has a very bad reputation in town. After an unpleasant conversation, the 2 returned without success. Since it's useless to call the police, then do it yourself. They found Rancher Ruiz. Told him the matter. Different from the leisurely police chief. Ruiz is like a dynamite that goes off at the drop of a hat. Immediately promised to find a way to resolve the matter. His nervousness. But out of distrust of the government. In his opinion, the existence of rotten seeds must be caused intentionally by someone. Just scare all the residents away. They can buy this land at a low price. Ruiz gets angrier the more he thinks about it. So that night, he picked up the shotgun and rushed to Uriel's house. Maria stopped her from the side. But the angry muzzle was still aimed at him. Face death. Uriel looked unusually calm on the bed. He didn't beg for mercy. Instead, he told Ruiz to hurry up and shoot. Foul-smelling pus oozes from the mouth. Beat me to death, coward. This way I can be transferred to your wife's belly. It sounds outrageous. Ruiz oscillates between impulse and rationality. The hand holding the gun was shaking with anger. He didn't notice. Maria's little son turned his gaze to the corner. A revolver is lying there. Final. He put away his gun. Back in the car and had no sleep all night. Early the next morning, the two brothers came after hearing the news. Fortunately, Ruiz didn't cause any disaster last night. After all, Botan is dead. A spreading virus will destroy an entire village. Reminds me of the last time I had to wait a year for the exorcist to come. Ruiz obviously doesn't want to wait that long. Then, finally, several people came up with a solution. Throw Uriel somewhere else. They used sheets to lift people up. Move with difficulty, while carefully avoiding touching the disgusting body. But it just arrived at the door. The flimsy sheets were torn. They had to find another blanket. After a lot of effort, he finally dragged the person into the car. Several people were driving at speed. It's more than 300 kilometers from the start. Ruiz feels the time has come. But Pedro seemed disgusted. Suggest him to drive further. So a few people moved forward for a while. Just then, an accident happened. Ruiz turned around and praised Pedro. Performance on this day. A child does not know when. Appeared in the middle of the road. Near miss. Several people continued driving for 20 minutes. Finally arrived at the disposal location. However, when they opened the trunk, Uriel inside was missing. The movement just now probably threw the person away. How many people are thinking? Just ignore it. Because it's also 300 kilometers away from the town. As long as it's not where you live. Isn't it lost somewhere? Who would have thought? This move paved the way for their tragic follow-up. Night falls. Several people return to town. This day is thrilling. Jimmy's heart is hard to calm down. He looked at the bullet he secretly brought from his neighbor's house. I can't help but be wary of that family. And the other side. A scream was heard from Ruiz's farm. He heard the sound and came over. Only in the sheepfold. A sheep stares directly at his wife. Extremely weird. He fired shots to drive away. The sheep was unmoved. Even moved forward. Put your head on the muzzle of his gun. Faced with naked provocation, Ruiz was blinded by anger. It's like seeing the shadow of the devil in the sheep. His gun pointed at it. Just like with Uriel. The difference is, this time his reason lost to his emotions. After ignoring his wife's obstruction, he smashed the evil sheep's head with one shot. The possessed sheep fell to the ground. But things are not over yet. Almost at the same time, an axe comes out. Hit him hard in the face. The man died on the spot. His expression is full of violence. As if possessed. She kneels on the ground, embedding the axe blade into his head over and over again. Night. Maria's youngest son brings sad news. Knocked on the door of the two brothers' house. It's not just the Ruiz family who died tragically. Even his mother Maria is missing. The two were shocked. Is this all because of moving the rot seeds? The boy dare not go home. I begged the two of them to take them in. But because he had a pistol on him. The two brothers were extremely cautious. After asking him to hand over. Only then did he reluctantly agree to spend the night in Majili. Back inside, Jimmy poured the bullets out of the gun's chamber. Only to find that there were only 5 bullets left in the original 6-round magazine. The two of them became nervous. After experiencing these weird events these days, they can't stay in this place anymore. Not just a village, but the whole town. So the next morning, the two drove away. But thinking that my children and old mother are still in town, they then split up. Jimmy goes to pick up his mother. Pedro came to a strange door. He rang the doorbell. A man cautiously stuck his head out. His name is Leo. Pedro's arrival seems unwelcome. Pedro doesn't want to talk nonsense with him. He opened the door directly, while taking off all his clothes, while asking him to let his wife and children come out to see him. It's as casual as entering your own home. The man felt overwhelmed when he saw this. Even feel a little ridiculous. Because Pedro has already been divorced. Here is his ex-wife with Pedro. Sabrina's house. But why do men care so much? Call Leo. Go find him and Jimmy 2 new outfits. He was stunned. What the hell did you get into? Don't involve us. Sabrina arrived holding her and Leo's little daughter. Just one glance. The sight before her eyes made her dumbfounded. I saw my ex-husband completely naked. like a wild dog that came from nowhere. The two of them suddenly had a huge quarrel. And at this time, a real dog in the family. Through the chaos of quarrels. When I came to the clothes, I became curious. Pedro got his wish. He came to the roadside and set his old clothes on fire. Met his son Sandino. Then he opened his mouth to explain the purpose of his visit. Wrought demonic possession. With all kinds of mysterious words popping out of his mouth. The persuasiveness can be imagined. Sabrina only felt that the man in front of her, still as crazy as before, immediately called the police to drive people away. The two quarreled again. As everyone knows. During their quarrel, the dog in the corner quietly changed. The little daughter noticed something strange. Staring at it blankly. But the next second, Santino approaches fearfully. Only under the table. The dog is tearing at its prey like crazy. Scared him so much that he fell back. Leo heard Santino's cry. Also go check it out. Unexpectedly, the big dog picked up the prey and ran away. He escaped under the crowd's siege. The scene suddenly fell into chaos. The couple rushed to chase the dog in panic. One collapsed and asked about the girl on the street. Only Pedro quietly came to the room on the second floor. Prepared to take away his eldest son Gil, who has autism. The two of them walked to the door. At this time, Leo rushed back. But he has no time to think about Pedro. Find the shotgun and car keys. Then he went out again in a hurry. However, realizing what happened to the last person who used a gun to exorcise demons, Pedro immediately chased him out, trying to prevent tragedy from happening. But it's still a step too late after all. I saw that the dog had already collapsed on the ground. The angry man took the last shot. He had a bad feeling. There are also some doubts. Where did the little daughter go? He returned to his ex-wife's house in tears. The scene before him made his hair stand on end. I saw the little daughter nestling in her mother's arms unharmed. An evil smile on his face. She whispered in Sabrina's ear. Dad will be back soon to kill you. Pedro realizes that the family is hopeless. So he returned to the house. I took my ex-wife's car keys. Take your two sons to Jimmy's rendezvous point. Leo's car is approaching. But he ignored Pedro. But the car turned around. Sabrina's blood splattered on the spot. Leo wakes up in the car. The eyeballs turned hollow white. And the little daughter beside. Get excited after seeing everything. Pedro came to his mother's house to pick up a few people. Driving on a road of escape with an unknown future. On the way, they talked about what they had experienced these days. About the rot about the devil. Mother took the opportunity to tell them about it. The legend spread in this land. The story of a demon possessing a human being. They will enter your body. Control your consciousness. Finally, the devil's body hatched from the body. This is why Uriel's body would swell like that. And want to defeat the devil. There are 7 rules that must be followed. Can't use electric lights. Don't go near animals. Don't touch anything that comes close to them. The light will reflect the lurking shadow of the devil. And animals will have more sensitive senses. Get infected with this virus faster. Ruiz's goat and his ex-wife's dog. All because I smelled it. Going crazy with residue on clothes. As well as, do not use violence against demons. You cannot kill demons with firearms, guns. Because of the sinfulness hidden deep in a human heart. It is the source of demonic energy. And you can't call the devil's name. For example, Lucifer, fallen angel. Azrael, angel of death. Beelzebub, lord of the flies. The mother accidentally blurted out. The two people in the front seat felt terrified when they heard this. And Jill on the side. After hearing Azrael's name, he started repeating it in his mouth. Gas station. Pedro walked out with an annoyed look on his face. Not only because of the inside. No Jill's favorite apple ice cream. Or is it because my wallet is empty? Because I walked too fast. He didn't bring anything. The current predicament made him complain again and again. Plus, Jill kept mumbling. Let the anxiety reach its peak at this moment. Then my mother's cell phone rang. Bringing the man back to reality a little bit. The voice from the mobile phone. It's so familiar. And so strange. Pedro grabbed the phone. Afraid of bringing bad luck to the family. His ex-wife was killed before his eyes. Demons possess animals. Will also possess the dead. The voice on the other side said that he would pick up the child soon. He was so frightened he threw his phone on the ground. Just give it a hard stampede. It seems that this way we can escape the pursuit of bad luck. He collapsed emotionally and collapsed. Attracted his brother's concern. At this critical moment. Then incompetent rage. More importantly, find a safe place to stay. Jimmy thought of a place. They can go to his friends. A person with a similar experience. Live in a suburb not far away. That's all. A few people packed up their mood and continued on the road. Arrive at your destination in the evening. I met Mirta, an old woman with a somewhat stern expression. She informed Pedro in advance. To avoid evil spirits. Her whole house doesn't have electricity. But fortunately the place is big enough. How many people can live here indefinitely? They will also be provided with funding. Everyone will be grateful for such kindness. But Pedro doesn't appreciate it. He insisted on going to the city. Mirta was so angry that she turned around and left. It's getting late. Everyone in the car, young and old, was very tired. The old mother patted him on the shoulder. Said that the eldest son defecated in his pants. Only then did he reluctantly agree to stay. Mirta says. The appearance of the devil will be accompanied by strange events. For example, babies stop crying. The shadow moves on its own. And just the night before. Jimmy has seen his own moving shadow. The fearful expression made Mirta feel distressed. Turn out to be. The relationship between the two is not simple. They are both teachers, students and lovers. And Jimmy was only 16 years old when we met. Nightfall. Pedro spends time with his autistic eldest son in the car. But found that he didn't know when he painted the picture. The sun rises in the painting. A group of people standing together. Seemingly harmonious. But because of a red person, it looks a little weird. He didn't think too much. Fall asleep in a tired package. However. Just in the dead of night. A person quietly came to the yard. It comes into the house. Holding Sandino in bed. The erratic soothing voice woke up the old mother from her dream. Is it Sabrina? She recognized this person's voice immediately. But I feel weak because I took sleeping pills. She could only watch helplessly as the other party took the child away. A bloody face comes into view. At this critical moment. Pedro finally arrived. He tried to get closer to each other in the dark. But before he could figure out whether the person in front of him was a human or a ghost. The woman jumped up with her child in her arms. Disappeared into the night. He chased him downstairs. Crying around in collapse. It's empty all around. There is absolutely no trace of the two of them ever existing. He turned to check on Jill. But found that the car door was locked. A large amount of blood was stained on the car. In desperation. He smashed the car window. Jill, are you okay? It's Dad. Fortunately, my eldest son is safe and sound. He continued to look for Sandino. Jimmy sees this. I'm also going to pick up the flashlight to help find someone. But was stopped by Mirta. She noticed something strange about Jill. There is a devil. Is lurking in the boy's body. But because of autism. It can't read a boy's mind. Trapped in temporary chaos. But. This bondage won't last long. They must take action now. Talking. She asked Jimmy to call Pedro back. An emergency meeting was held. I saw her taking out her prop box. Some exquisite metal instruments come into view. Just like the two brothers before. Exactly the same one found in the woods. Turn out to be. Mirta's true identity is an exorcist. Not only that. She also said. The last rule of exorcism that the old mother did not remember. Also the most important one. That is not to be afraid of death. Demons can read people's fears. What are you more afraid of? Precisely because it glimpsed Pedro's fear of losing his child. So the top priority is not to find children. But to eliminate the rot that spreads evil spirits. So they divided into two groups. Pedro and Mirta. Go to the intersection where you abandoned Uriel. Completely remove the rot with an exorcism ritual. Jimmy takes his brother's place to find Sandino. The old mother and Jill, who had limited mobility, stayed behind. Before leaving. Mirta seemed to see a sign of disaster. The town lights are devoured by evil spirits. Fell into darkness. Several people couldn't help but become nervous. They had no choice but to bite the bullet. On the road. Mirta told Pedro about his past. 12 years ago. She and her husband manage a church. The two often perform exorcisms for people who come here. But the exorcism at this time. It's just two things that two people use to cheat money. Possessed people are hired actors. Until one day. The real enchanter appears. He vomited all over the floor in front of the two of them. In filth. It's actually a shocking human body limb. Let the two people's moods change from now on. The devil invades the house. God is dead. The church soon died. They also fled the town overnight. Later. To make up for the sins I committed. The two learned the method of removing spirits from eminent monks. Officially embarked on the legendary road of the exorcist. It is still possible to kill them. 12 years. The two of them eliminated countless demons. Not only did it gain fame. He also trained many exorcists. But the devil also sensed the threat. The hunt started. Exorcists began to die violently one after another. A companion who was broken into 2 pieces in the woods. The husband who left work one day and never returned. All cast a lingering shadow on Mirda. She realized she was a target. Live in seclusion from now on. But she knows. One day I will have to face this belated revenge. Facing the exorcist's mission. And the unknown death ahead. In darkness. Her faith is as clear as headlights. Other side. Jimmy enters town. He remembered Mirda's words. Turn off the car lights. Watch carefully in the dark. Suddenly. He seemed to have seen something. As the car lights come on. He saw Sabrina swaying ahead. Blood is dripping from the body. He drove past. I found that I was still a step too late. Sandino has long since stopped breathing. He is covered in blood. Being eaten. Fear, sadness, anger. All kinds of emotions washed over Jimmy. He stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. The woman was pushed onto the front of the car by him. Nailed straight to a tree. The violent impact also left Jimmy with a bloody head. He came to his senses. The anger has not dissipated yet. I saw the woman whose brain was pounding open her eyes. Say something slowly. Jimmy, you said you loved me. Pedro and Mirda arrived along the road that day. Get rid of Uriel's intersection. Hooking the blanket that wrapped him that day. The two of them turned into a small road. As the school appeared ahead. A sinister atmosphere blows towards my face. Mirda's intuition told her. The rod is here. So the two of them turned off their flashlights. Carefully walk inside. At this time. There was a stifling buzzing of insects in their ears. This is a good thing. Because once a devil is born. Will swallow up all the surrounding natural sounds. 2 people walked into a classroom. Unexpectedly, in this darkness. The seat was filled with children who had not returned home. They lowered their heads quietly. It's like I'm specially waiting for the two of them to arrive. The paper cutouts on the windows are also the same as Gil's paintings. Looks extremely weird. Mirda said that she was here to save them. Trying to get the location of the rot from these children's mouths. I saw a girl trembling and trying to say something. The child behind her made her cry. Blood flowed out of the mouth uncontrollably. Turn out to be. They have already been taken away by the devil. Became a walking body. There is a lot of lime scattered on the ground. To cover up their smell of corruption. Mirda can't stand the stench. Rushed outside and retched. She realized. It's impossible to get any useful clues from them. Because these kids are gathered here. Most likely just to protect the rot spawn. At this time. A boy pushing a bicycle came over. I learned that the two were looking for Uriel. He pointed in a direction. Roundabout in the distance. Uriel is there. Pedro is convinced. He got on the bus in a hurry. Prepared to go to the said place. But at this time, Mirda smelled something strange. Stop in place. Maybe the devil realized that the other party didn't fall into the trap. Another little girl was sent. Tell the two that the child just now was lying. The real Uriel is actually in my house. This time. Even a male protagonist suddenly has an IQ. He pushed the girl down. While venting anger. While asking where the rot species are. As everyone knows. These behaviors have already violated the taboo of exorcism. Mirda stopped him. The devil wants them to go elsewhere. At the same time. A familiar figure appeared in front of my old mother's door. It's Jill. At this time, he can move freely. Completely restored to normal appearance. Or rather. Completely becoming the incarnation of the devil. He said he was cold and hungry. Want to eat something to warm your stomach? It made my old mother's hair stand on end. Subconsciously, I clenched the necklace in my hand. Other side. Mirda returned interior. In the big classroom. A wooden stage attracted the attention of 2 people. Pedro breaks open a wooden board. I found that there were densely packed human bodies underneath. It must be here. Mirda asked him to get the toolbox and soothe his anxious mood. Looks like a seasoned person. Taking advantage of Pedro's departure, a child came over. Tell Mirda to leave quickly. Otherwise the devil will still be born. Tell Pedro to pull it out quickly. Fortunately, the exorcism blade penetrated the back of his neck. However, the rod is too heavy. Pedro can't be dragged out alive or dead. The only way. Just tear down the entire stage. So the action reached a deadlock. He's afraid of being one step later. Sandino will be taken away by the devil. Afraid of own incompetence. Will lead to the death of more relatives. But what is he more afraid of? The more likely it is that something will happen. Nervous fear. In addition, the rotten seeds kept stimulating his pain. Make him even more irritable. Shut up, shut up, shut up. At this time, the child next to him reminded him. There's a fire axe in the next room. Once you get it, you can take out the rot seeds. Pedro was stunned. Faced with this naked deception, he actually straightened up. Rushed towards the place the other party said. Even Mirda kept warning that this was a trap. He also completely forgot about it. No, Pedro. It's a trap. Don't leave me alone. He saw the empty fire cabinet. Only then did I realize that I had been fooled. But before he regretted it, Mirda's sorrow was heard in the classroom. He hurriedly returned to the classroom. But the door was locked and blocked from outside. Through glass, he saw those kids. He is dragging Mirda towards the outside. And dragging, while hitting the woman's head with a hammer. Pedro, who witnessed everything, was furious. He lifted the chair behind him. Slammed the door violently. The glass broke immediately. He opens the lock. Finally returned to the classroom. But there is no longer an exorcist at this time. Only some scattered instruments remain. And that long bloodstain. Pedro is late again. He swatted on the ground. Want to cry but no tears. Immersed in deep regret. At this time, a familiar voice came from not far away. Brought him back to reality. Pedro. Pedro follows the sound. I saw Oriel sticking his head out. Called his name softly. There was a smug mockery in his tone. So Pedro exploded. Sadness instantly turned into anger. He also picked up the instruments on the ground and threw them at the rot. Once, twice, 3 times. The rot was smashed beyond recognition. Only half of my head is left. Venting is over. Pedro fell to his knees exhausted. He used all his strength to destroy the rod in front of him. As everyone knows, in that broken body, a red figure stood up slowly. Exorcism failed. The evil spirit is born. The group of children also returned to the classroom at this time. A satisfied smile hangs on the face. The devil didn't kill Pedro. Instead, it gave him proof of his meritorious service. He slowly walked up to Pedro. Left a bloody mark. Then he walked out of school. Bathing in the morning light with the children. Walking slowly towards the distant city. It should have been a warm scene. At this moment, there is an endless chill. This is exactly the picture depicted in Gil's painting. The devil's coming has already been foreshadowed. Pedro returns to the mansion to meet Jimmy. Looking at the empty space around me. Both of them realize something. Hugging each other in despair. But he doesn't know. More despair is yet to come. Pedro walks into the house. Found that my old mother was missing. Only the autistic eldest son leaned aside. Expressionless. In desperation. The two had to take Gil back to his original home first. After all, the devil has been born. It's the same wherever you go. Experienced so much. Pedro goes into the bathroom. Wash away fatigue. Also trying to wash away the tragic memories of these days. But it's a pity. No matter how hard he washes these memories, he can't wash them away. Pain and regret will accompany him forever. On the table. Revolver bullets. There are only 4 left at this time. Jimmy noticed something strange. Came to Ma to question the neighbor boy. The other party is no longer secretive. Tell the truth. Turn out to be. His brain has long been invaded by demons. In order to protect the rot, he shot and killed the exorcist sent by the government. And cut his body into 2 parts. Used half to feed the pigs. I ate half of it myself. And his missing mother Maria. The ending is the same as Jimmy's mother. After saying that, a sly smile appeared on his face. In the living room, Jill finally had her favorite apple ice cream. He is very happy. I ate so fast that I choked myself. Pedro sees this. Pat your son's back gently. But the situation has not improved. So he put his finger into Jill's throat again. I didn't expect the next scene. He was completely confused. I saw blood spitting out of Jill's mouth. Next comes the hair. Minced meat. And a familiar key. It's the one thing that my mother never leaves. He looked at the necklace. Looking at Jill again. Pedro finally realized. And his mother. It had already been eaten alive by it. He walked out of the house in despair. Kneel down. Sunny outside. Everything is silent. Seems like a beautiful day. In Pedro's endless lamentation. Video ends. Throughout the film, this is not actually a story about how the protagonist saves the world. It's about how the protagonist destroys the world. Except for being stabbed in the back by the dark ending. It is difficult for the audience not to be attracted by various behaviors of the male protagonist. Angry breast nodules. Because from beginning to end, the male protagonist's behavior is extremely stupid. Not only did he kill his ex-wife and his family with his strength. The last idiot is looking for an axe. It indirectly destroyed the entire world. But the interesting thing is, for animal kids and people with fragile hearts, demons easily take control of their minds. The male protagonist Pedro is extremely emotionally unstable. And violated the rules of exorcism many times. It can be said that he is an excellent candidate for demonic possession. But by the end of the story, he was not possessed either. Looks extremely weird. We might as well make a bold guess. In fact, the male protagonist was chosen by the devil from the very beginning. Just like the title of the film Evil Lurks. Maybe the devil has already quietly invaded the male protagonist's brain. Whisper softly at critical moments. Dominates the male protagonist's behavior. In this way, all the inexplicable behaviors of the male protagonist also make sense. Rot found. In order not to be found by the exorcist, he and his accomplices transported it to the hard-to-find countryside awaits results. Come to town. To spread the virus. He just entered his ex-wife's house and took off all his filth. Infected innocent dogs. And the night before, he took a shower but didn't change clothes. It also explains his purpose. The group originally planned to rush to the city overnight, leading to a wider range of infections. But he accidentally came to Mirda's house. So the devil changed his plan. Get rid of the biggest threat first. That's all. Pedro uses fear to summon evil spirits. Also looking for reasons for Sandino to send his brother away. I also had the opportunity to be alone with Mirda. Let a generation of legendary exorcists die. He finally fell to his knees. Not because of exhaustion. But his heart has long been corrupted. Became the devil's most devout believer. Kill everyone. Let the devil come into the world. That's the purpose of its lurking so far. Leaving that glorious mark. Actually, Pedro is normal most of the time. There is room for redemption in many things. But no one believed what he said. Initially, the 2 brothers came to the police station to report a crime. This is a good development. But it ended badly because of Pedro's quarrel. You don't believe me, do you? Come on, I just want a reason to lock you up. It's not just the village police who don't want to see him. The town patrol also looked down upon him. Ex-wife's crazed dog rushes out the door. He immediately called the police. Why did you do something wrong again, Pedro? The reason why this is so. It's because he's already notorious in town. On that phone call from Sabrina, we get a glimpse into a side of Pedro that no one knows. After the 2 got married, gave birth to her eldest son, Jill, who has autism. For family. He wanders around all year round to earn Jill's medical expenses. But he also left his family in the cold. The child is unfamiliar with him. The couple's relationship is breaking up. I am not good at words myself. So I can't tell you the pain. Became the most authentic portrayal of Pedro. Gave me a disabled child. You still want to get rid of him. You bastard. Nothing accomplished. Wife and children separated. Heartbroken, he attempts to end his life with Jill. Finally stopped by the police. This incident caused an uproar in the town. Even the reclusive Mirda had heard rumors about him. This is why when Gil saw him, he looked like he was trying his best to avoid it. Although in the words of his brother Jimmy, this is a lie told by the ex-wife during the custody battle. The audience can also detect Jimmy's hypocrisy. On the phone, ex-wife says she cheated on Pedro. Make love with everyone. And this naturally includes. And his closest brother Jimmy. So, Sabrina, stuck in a car window. Only then can I say that sentence. If all ghost elements were stripped away. The core of the film. It satirizes a society in which moral values and values are gradually collapsing. The film is set in a world where God is dead. Church destroyed. A world where humans have no faith. They are selfish and indifferent. The police spread their hands. Sit back and do nothing. You can do it yourself. Farmers are extremely self-interested. Divert the blame. This is my land. They suspected each other and deceived each other. Blaming each other and pushing each other. Wife and brother are having sex right under their noses. The male protagonist borrows the lake, taking the opportunity to take away the child who lost custody. Did you know you had violated a restraining order? Inevitably end up attacking each other. So we will find what this movie really wants to tell the audience. Kill the world. Not actually a devil. Lurking in the human heart. Selfish. Indifferent. Cheat. Suspicion. Moral annihilation. Is the real driving force behind the end of the world.